You know, for many of us, reaching the age of 60 feels like hitting a new stride in life. Maybe the kids are grown. Maybe retirement is on the horizon. Or maybe you're just finally feeling comfortable in your own skin. It's a time to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Slow down just a little and really focus on your well-being. But for so many men, this wonderful phase of life comes with a frustrating, often embarrassing companion: prostate troubles. It starts subtly, perhaps with needing to get up once in the night. Then it's twice, maybe 3 or 4 times. Suddenly, your peaceful night's sleep is replaced by a constant battle with your bladder. You're tired, you're frustrated, and it feels like something you just have to live with. Right. That interrupted sleep isn't just annoying, it impacts your energy, your mood, everything. It feels like your body is just misbehaving at night. But what if I told you that those nighttime issues, those frequent trips to the bathroom, that discomfort you might be feeling, aren't just an unavoidable part of getting older? What if there are some surprisingly simple things you might be doing right before you go to bed? Habits you might not even think twice about, that are actually making things worse for your prostate health. It's true, there are common nighttime routines, things many of us do without a second thought, that can significantly impact how your prostate behaves throughout the night. These aren't complicated medical procedures or expensive treatments. They're everyday habits. In this video, we're going to explore 5 of these night habits that are likely affecting your prostate and, more importantly, what you can do about them. Stay with me right to the very end, because I'm going to share something with you that might just surprise you about taking back control of your nights. Let's dive right into the first habit that could be playing havoc with your prostate as you get older. It's something incredibly common, something many of us reach for to wind down after a long day, especially as the evening wears on. I'm talking about what you drink, and specifically, when you drink it. Now, I'm not just talking about limiting fluids entirely before bed, though that's certainly part of it. I'm specifically thinking about certain types of beverages that can act like irritants or diuretics, meaning they either annoy your bladder and prostate or they make you produce more urine. Think about your evening routine. Do you enjoy a cup of tea after dinner? Maybe a glass of wine or a beer while watching the news? Perhaps you just keep a water bottle by your side and take sips right up until you switch off the light. These habits, innocent as they seem, can have a direct line to your prostate and bladder function overnight. Let's start with alcohol. A glass of wine or a beer might seem like a relaxing way to end the day. You feel a bit more relaxed, maybe a little sleepy. But alcohol is a diuretic. That means it signals your kidneys to produce more urine. So, even if you haven't drunk a huge amount of liquid overall, the alcohol specifically increases urine production. Now, couple that with an aging prostate that might already be enlarged, a very common condition called benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, and you have a recipe for frequent nighttime awakenings. An enlarged prostate can press on the urethra, the tube that carries urine out of the body, making it harder to empty the bladder fully. So, when your bladder starts filling up rapidly because of the diuretic effect of alcohol, that already compromised system has to work harder, leading to that urgent need to go multiple times a night. It's not just the volume. It's the increased rate of production and the prostate's reduced ability to handle it efficiently. Beyond being a diuretic, alcohol can also potentially irritate the bladder muscle itself, making it more sensitive and prone to spasming, which also contributes to that feeling of urgency. So, what's the simple actionable step here? It's not necessarily about cutting out alcohol entirely if you enjoy it, but it's about timing. Try to have your last alcoholic drink significantly earlier in the evening. If dinner is at 7 p.m., maybe have your glass of wine then, and switch to plain water, or stop drinking altogether by 8 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. at the latest. This gives your body time to process the alcohol and the increased urine production before you lie down for the night. Experiment with the tides on belly's tunt tun. Tejatung I dison damtsatand. You might find that simply shifting that drink earlier makes a noticeable difference to how many times you're getting up. Now, what about other drinks? Caffeine is another big one. Coffee, tea, including many black and green teas, and some sodas are also diuretics and can irritate the bladder. Having a cup of coffee after dinner or a strong tea while watching a late-night show is essentially giving your bladder and kidneys a marching order to work overtime just when you want them to be settling down for the night. The same logic applies here as with alcohol. Try to have your last caffeinated beverage much earlier in the day, perhaps stopping after lunch or in the early afternoon, switching to herbal teas like chamomile or peppermint, which are generally non-diuretic and can even be calming in the evening, is a simple swap that can make a big difference. Even seemingly innocent drinks can be an issue if consumed too close to bedtime, simply because of the volume. Down a large glass of water, juice, or milk right before you brush your teeth, and you're giving your bladder a big job to do while you're trying to sleep. The general advice is to limit total fluid intake in the hour or two right before bed. It doesn't mean you shouldn't stay hydrated throughout the day. That's very important. But front-loading your hydration earlier in the day and tapering off as evening approaches is a smart strategy for prostate-friendly nights. Think about it. Get your fluids in during the morning and afternoon. By the time evening rolls around, you can reduce the volume you're taking in. If you feel thirsty right before bed, just a small sip of water is usually enough, not a full glass. Let's consider an example. Imagine Mr. Henderson, who loves his routine dinner at 6:30 p.m., a cup of black tea while reading the paper at 8 p.m., and then finishing the evening with a couple of biscuits and another cup of tea, or sometimes a small glass of sherry. Around 9:30 p.m., before heading to bed at 10:30 p.m. He was getting up 3 or 4 times a night. His doctor suggested he try switching his evening black tea to chamomile and having his sherry, if he wanted one, right after dinner instead of closer to bed. Within a week, he noticed he was only getting up once, maybe twice. It wasn't magic. It was simply respecting his body's need to process liquids before the long sleep cycle. This habit of late-night drinking, particularly certain types of drinks, is often the #1 culprit for interrupted sleep due to frequent urination in older men. It seems so simple, almost too simple to be the cause of such frustration. But the cumulative effect on an aging urinary system is significant. It's about being mindful of the timing and the type of liquids you consume in those crucial few hours before you want to fall asleep and stay asleep. Making conscious choices about your evening beverages is a fundamental step in managing nighttime prostate symptoms. It requires a little planning and perhaps a shift in your wind-down routine, but the payoff in terms of better sleep and reduced bathroom trips can be immense. Now that we've talked about the significant impact of what and when you drink in the evenings, let's turn our attention to another habit that many men don't even consider when thinking about their prostate health, but which can surprisingly make a difference, especially as the night goes on. This next one relates to how you prepare your body for rest, and it involves something that happens right before you settle into bed. Are you emptying your bladder properly before you lie down? It sounds obvious, doesn't it? Of course, you use the bathroom before bed. But for men with enlarged prostates, fully emptying the bladder can become increasingly difficult. The enlarged prostate can obstruct the flow of urine, leaving a significant amount of residual urine in the bladder, even after you feel like you're finished. This residual urine means your bladder starts the night already partially full. So, it takes much less time for it to fill up to the point where it triggers the urge to go, waking you up sooner and more frequently. The habit here isn't just using the bathroom before bed. The habit is how you use the bathroom before bed, and whether you're giving yourself the best chance to empty your bladder as completely as possible. Many men, perhaps out of a lifetime of habit, rush the process. They stand at the toilet, wait for the flow, finish, maybe give a quick shake, and then they're done. But with an enlarged prostate, this quick approach often isn't sufficient. So, what's the actionable advice to improve this pre-bed habit? It's about taking your time and potentially adopting some techniques that encourage better bladder emptying. One widely recommended technique is called double voiding. This involves urinating as you normally would, trying to empty your bladder as much as possible. Then, instead of leaving the bathroom immediately, you wait for a few moments, maybe 30 seconds to a minute. You might stand up, perhaps walk around a little, or just sit there and relax. Then, you attempt to urinate again, often after this short pause. You can release a surprising amount of additional urine that was left behind the first time. This significantly reduces the starting volume in your bladder for the night, potentially buying you extra hours of uninterrupted sleep before the urge to go strikes. Another aspect of this habit is posture. While many men are used to standing to urinate, some evidence suggests that for men with prostate issues, sitting down to urinate can actually help in emptying the bladder more completely. Sitting down can help relax the pelvic floor muscles and potentially alleviate some of the pressure the prostate might be exerting on the urethra, allowing for a more complete and less strained flow. It might feel different, perhaps even a bit strange at first if you're not used to it. But it's a simple physical adjustment that can have a tangible benefit on residual urine volume. It's worth trying to see if it helps you. Think about Mr. Davies, who was getting up every couple of hours. He felt like he was emptying his bladder fully before bed. But after talking to his doctor, he started practicing double voiding. He'd go once, wait a minute, and then go again. He was amazed by how much more urine came out the second time, even when he thought he was done. Combining this with sitting down, which he also tried hesitantly at first, made a real difference. He found the flow was stronger, and he felt more empty afterward. Within a week, his trips to the bathroom dropped from 4 or 5 a night to 1 or 2. Sometimes none at all. This change wasn't about medication. It was about changing the habit of how he went to the bathroom before bed. This habit of ensuring proper bladder emptying before settling in for the night is a critical, yet often overlooked, piece of the puzzle when it comes to managing nighttime prostate symptoms. It's not just about timing your last drink. It's also about making sure that when you do go to the bathroom before bed, you give your body the best possible chance to start the night with an empty or near-empty bladder. Taking an extra minute or two, trying double voiding, or experimenting with sitting posture are simple, non-invasive changes that can have a significant impact on the quality and duration of your sleep. It's about being patient with your body and understanding that as things change with age. The way you perform even basic functions might need slight adjustments to remain effective. Continuing our exploration of nighttime habits that impact prostate health, we move from what you drink and how you go to the bathroom to something else that happens in the evening hours, what you eat, and specifically, certain foods or types of foods that can act as irritants to the bladder and prostate. Just like certain drinks, some foods can make your urinary symptoms worse, and consuming them close to bedtime can guarantee you'll be up dealing with the consequences. Common culprits often include spicy foods, acidic foods like tomatoes and citrus fruits, and, even surprisingly, chocolate and artificial sweeteners. While these might be perfectly fine for you earlier in the day, having them as part of your late-night snack or your evening meal, if you eat late, means their irritating compounds are hitting your system just as you're trying to settle down for a long period of rest. Let's think about spicy food. For some men, a curry or a chili in the evening can lead to increased bladder urgency and discomfort a few hours later. The compounds that give spicy food its kick can irritate the lining of the bladder, making it feel overactive and sending signals that you need to urinate even when the bladder isn't very full. Having this irritation start just as you're drifting off to sleep is a sure way to be woken up by a sudden, strong urge to go. Acidic foods work similarly. Tomatoes, tomato-based sauces like on pizza or pasta, citrus fruits, oranges, grapefruits, lemons, and even vinegars can increase the acidity of your urine, which can in turn irritate the bladder and urethra. If you have a late dinner featuring a rich tomato sauce or an evening snack of an orange, you might find yourself paying the price with increased nighttime bathroom visits. Somed chocolate, sadly for some, can also be a bladder irritant due to compounds like caffeine and others. A few squares of dark chocolate as a late-night treat might be enough to stimulate your bladder at the worst possible time. Artificial sweeteners, found in many diet drinks and sugar-free snacks, have also been reported by some individuals to worsen urinary symptoms. So, the actionable habit to adjust here is being mindful of what you eat in the evening, particularly in the few hours before bed. It's not about cutting out these foods entirely if you enjoy them, but similar to drinks, it's about timing and quantity. If you know spicy food affects you, enjoy it at lunchtime instead of for dinner. If you love citrus fruit, have it with breakfast. If you crave chocolate, have a small piece earlier in the evening or perhaps after lunch. Pay attention to your own body. You might find that not all of these trigger foods affect you, or that something else entirely is a culprit. Keeping a simple food and symptom diary for a week or two can be incredibly insightful. Note down what you eat and drink in the evening and how many times you get up in the night. Look for patterns. Do you always have a worse night after a meal with a lot of tomato sauce or after that late-night chocolate bar? Identifying your personal triggers is key. Once you identify them, the change is straightforward. Simply avoid those specific trigger foods in the hours leading up to bedtime. For most people, giving your body 2 to 3 hours to digest and process food before you intend to sleep is a good rule of thumb. So, if you aim to be asleep by 10 p.m., try to finish eating by 7 p.m. or 7:30 p.m., and be particularly careful about trigger foods after your main evening meal. Mr. Rodriguez found that his love for spicy late-night snacks was directly correlated with how many times he woke up. He'd often have some spicy peanuts or a small bowl of chili while watching TV. He switched to plain nuts and found his nights improved dramatically. He didn't have to give up spicy food entirely. Just move it earlier in the day. This simple adjustment of his evening eating habit had a significant positive effect on his sleep and his prostate symptoms. This habit of consuming bladder-irritating foods close to bedtime is another hidden factor contributing to nighttime prostate issues. By being aware of potential triggers and adjusting your evening eating habits, focusing on finishing meals and snacks earlier, and choosing less irritating options before bed, you can reduce the frequency and urgency of nighttime bathroom visits. It requires a little self-awareness and discipline, but the reward is more restful. Uninterrupted sleep. It's about being kind to your bladder and prostate in the hours when you need them to be quiet and cooperative. Moving on from diet, let's consider a habit that relates purely to your physical state just before you lie down. And this one is about when you take certain medications. Many men over 60 are taking medications for various conditions: blood pressure, heart issues, fluid retention, etc. Some of these medications, specifically diuretics often called water pills, are prescribed to help your body get rid of excess fluid. They work by increasing urine production. While they are essential for managing conditions like high blood pressure or heart failure, taking them at the wrong time of day can directly lead to a significant increase in nighttime urination. The habit here isn't taking the medication itself. That's often vital for your health. But the habit is the timing of when you take it, which might have been set up years ago without considering the nighttime impact as you've gotten older and your prostate has changed. If you're taking a diuretic in the late afternoon or evening, you are essentially scheduling your kidneys to be working hard and producing a large volume of urine precisely when you are trying to sleep. This is a very common cause of waking up multiple times a night with a full bladder and an urgent need to go. The actionable step for this habit is to discuss the timing of your diuretic medication with your doctor. In many cases, these medications can be taken earlier in the day. For example, in the morning with breakfast. This allows the medication to do its work during the day when it's less disruptive to get up and go to the bathroom, and the effects will have significantly lessened by the time you go to bed. It's important not to change the timing of your medication yourself without consulting your doctor or pharmacist, as they need to ensure the change is appropriate for your specific health condition and medication. However, initiating the conversation is the key. Explain to your doctor that you are experiencing significant nighttime urination and you suspect your diuretic might be contributing. They can advise on whether changing the timing is possible and safe for you. Beyond diuretics, even some other medications can have effects on the bladder or prostate as side effects, though diuretics are the most common culprits for increased urine volume. This is why it's always a good idea to review all your medications with your doctor periodically and discuss any new or worsening symptoms you are experiencing, including nighttime urination. Sometimes, a different formulation or an alternative medication might be available that has fewer urinary side effects, especially during the night. Consider Mr. Peterson, who had been taking a blood pressure medication that included a diuretic every evening for years. He just accepted getting up 3 or 4 times a night as part of his routine. His doctor asked about his sleep habits during a checkup, and when Mr. Peterson mentioned the frequent nighttime trips, the doctor immediately suggested switching his diuretic to a morning dose. Within a few days, Mr. Peterson noticed he was only getting up once, if at all. It was a simple change in habit, the timing of his medication, but it completely transformed his nights. This habit of taking medications that increase urine production too late in the day is a straightforward one to address. but it requires medical consultation. Don't suffer through multiple nighttime trips if the solution could be as simple as adjusting when you take a pill. It's a prime example of how your overall health management habits, particularly medication timing, can directly impact your prostate and sleep quality in the evening. Having this conversation with your healthcare provider is a proactive step towards better nights. Finally, let's talk about the last of the 5 night habits, one that involves your physical positioning during the night. This might sound a bit unusual when we're talking about prostate health, but believe it or not, how you position your body in the hours leading up to sleep, and even while you are sleeping, can influence fluid distribution in your body and, subsequently, the pressure on your bladder and the frequency of nighttime urination. I'm talking about elevating your legs in the evening. Many older adults, particularly those with circulation issues or conditions that cause fluid retention in the lower legs and ankles like venous insufficiency, or even just spending a lot of time sitting or standing during the day, accumulate fluid in their lower extremities throughout the day due to gravity. When you lie down flat in bed, this accumulated fluid is gradually reabsorbed back into your bloodstream. Your kidneys then process this fluid, leading to increased urine production while you are lying down. This phenomenon is known as nocturnal polyuria, excessive urination during the night. And when you combine this increased urine production with an enlarged prostate, that makes it harder to hold and empty the bladder. You end up with frequent nighttime trips to the bathroom. The habit here is not elevating your legs in the hours before bed. The actionable step to change this habit is to make a conscious effort to elevate your legs for a period in the evening before you go to sleep. This uses gravity to your advantage, helping to mobilize and reabsorb some of that accumulated fluid before you lie down for the long haul. By processing some of this fluid earlier in the evening while you are still awake and mobile, you can reduce the amount of fluid that gets reabsorbed and processed during the night, thereby potentially reducing nighttime urine production. How long should you elevate your legs? There's no strict rule, but aiming for 30 minutes to an hour or even 2 in the late afternoon or early evening can be beneficial. You can do this while reading, watching television, or just relaxing. The key is to have your legs raised above the level of your heart if possible. This can be achieved by lying on a couch with your feet propped up on cushions, using a recliner chair with the leg rest elevated, or even lying on the floor with your legs up against the wall, if that's comfortable and safe for you. The goal is to let gravity help drain that fluid upwards before you assume a flat position for several hours. Think about the man who spends all day sitting at a desk or is on his feet quite a bit, and his ankles often swell by the end of the day. When he lies down at night, all that fluid that pooled in his legs gets reabsorbed. His bladder fills up quickly, and he's up multiple times. Mr. Munch. Alan had this exact problem. His doctor suggested he start putting his feet up for an hour every evening while he watched the news. He got a comfortable recliner and made it part of his wind-down routine. He noticed that not only did the swelling in his ankles decrease, but he also wasn't getting up as often at night. It wasn't an instant fix, but over a couple of weeks, the difference was clear. By addressing the habit of not elevating his legs, he was changing how his body handled fluid before bedtime. This habit of neglecting leg elevation in the evening is often overlooked, but it can be a significant contributor to nighttime urination, especially for those who retain fluid in their legs. Incorporating even a short period of leg elevation into your evening routine is a simple, non-pharmacological way to potentially reduce the amount of urine your body produces while you are trying to sleep, offering another potential path to more restful nights and better prostate comfort. It's about working with your body and gravity to manage fluid distribution proactively before bed. So, we've explored 5 seemingly simple nighttime habits that can have a surprisingly big impact on your prostate health and, crucially, on how well you sleep through the night, especially as you get older. We talked about being mindful of what and when you drink in the hours before bed, particularly reducing or eliminating alcohol and caffeine, and tapering off other fluids. We looked at the importance of how you use the bathroom right before bed, suggesting techniques like double voiding or sitting down to ensure more complete bladder emptying. We discussed paying attention to what you eat in the evening, identifying and avoiding potential bladder-irritating foods like spicy dishes, acidic foods, and late-night chocolate or artificial sweeteners. We covered the importance of reviewing the timing of certain medications, especially diuretics, with your doctor to see if taking them earlier in the day is an option. And finally, we just talked about the habit of incorporating leg elevation into your evening routine to help manage fluid retention and reduce nighttime urine production. These aren't earth-shattering medical breakthroughs. They are practical, everyday adjustments to habits you might not have even realized were connected to your nighttime prostate symptoms. The beauty of these changes is that they are largely within your control. You don't need a prescription for most of them. They require awareness, a little bit of planning, and a willingness to try something new. It can feel frustrating dealing with nighttime issues, like your body is letting you down. But remember, small, consistent changes can really add up and make a world of difference. You don't have to tackle all 5 of these at once. Maybe start with the one that feels easiest for you, or the one you suspect is the biggest culprit. Is it that glass of wine every night, the late-night tea? The habit of rushing through your pre-bed bathroom trip? Pick one to focus on for a week or 2. See if it makes a difference. And then perhaps add another. Improving your nighttime prostate symptoms isn't just about being more comfortable. It's fundamentally about improving your sleep quality. And better sleep impacts every single aspect of your health. Your energy levels, your mood, your cognitive function, your immune system. Reclaiming your nights is a powerful step towards living your best life at this age. Don't underestimate the power of these seemingly minor adjustments to your evening habits. I hope this has given you some practical ideas and perhaps a new perspective on managing those frustrating nighttime interruptions. Have you tried any of these strategies before? Is there a particular habit you think might be the biggest issue for you? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Sharing what works for you can also help countless other men dealing with the same issues. If you found this video helpful and want to learn more about simple, actionable ways to improve your health and well-being as you age, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on future videos packed with practical tips and advice. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you're always in the loop. Taking care of your prostate health, especially as you get older, is a crucial part of maintaining your quality of life. It's not about dreading the night or accepting poor sleep as inevitable. It's about understanding the factors at play and making informed choices about your daily, or in this case, nightly, habits. These small changes can lead to significant improvements, giving you back your sleep, your energy, and your comfort. Live your best life at every age. It's absolutely possible. And often, it starts with a good night's sleep.